greatness awaits.
So Rick, tell me. I mean, I'm pretty stoked about this conference. What did you think about it?
That last one we just saw, the Days Gone.
Yeah, that looks like a nut. Like that game is nuts,
That looks
man.
pretty intense. It looks like it's
God.
It's not the typical zombie apocalypse game where you run, hide, kill, you be silent, and backtrack. This looks like a more of like a Last of Us kind of scene where you just keep going forward, but you're being chased by a mob of zombies, not just one or two or three. Like you just have to like plow through them and keep going. But it looks nuts. It looks pretty fun.
Yeah, man. It looked really, really well done. I'm just surprised they were able to get that many zombies on screen at the same time. That's crazy how some of these games keep getting, just bigger and bigger in scope and size and quantity and everything. It's just really good. I'm very impressed by Horizon Zero Dawn. Just technically, it looks really well done.
It looks beautiful. It looks like a nice game.
Beautiful. Actually, all the games that we saw today, I would say, most of the games look beautiful. Probably the biggest surprise for me as a fanboy was seeing Kratos on screen again. Now he's in sort of like a Norse, like Viking style of mythology.
Yeah, see, I didn't get that. That's like completely different. Well, I mean, I only
just
played one.
Judging by the way he's dressed, and the hats with the horns on them and all that, and he looks good in a beard. He looks like he's right out of the 300 movie. So I really enjoyed that, but however, we didn't really get to see too much.
Yeah,
I would have liked to see him a little bit more, but I know Sony has to save up. This is their first time ever revealing it, and so we have that. What other games impressed you? What's probably what impressed you the most?
What impressed me the most? Let's see, what else did we see?
We saw The Last Guardian. We saw
that one looked
Infinite Warfare.
That one looked alright.
We saw
those were VR exclusive, those weren't they?
No, they're both for VR and they're also going to be released. We saw Final Fantasy 15, which is going to be released on multi-platforms. We saw Kojima had that teaser.
Yeah, that was like a weird.
Which was kind of weird, no gameplay shown, but it was all running in-game engine.
Resident Evil. That one seemed kind of trippy.
Dude, Resident Evil, man, talk about surprising.
We didn't know what the heck were we watching. We just saw the GoPro first-person perspective. We saw some hands and then like some guy run across the screen.
Right,
so it looked creepy, looked eerie, but I didn't think it was a Resident Evil type of game. Until they just busted out the Resident Evil Biohazard.
Right.
So I don't know.
I think they went totally for that PT demo that was released last year. That everybody loved that demo. That everybody loved it.
It doesn't seem like a traditional Resident Evil type of game.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think this is good. They're kind of going back to their horror roots, survival horror, because if you think about it, they kind of went more action oriented in the last few games.
But they've always been a third person. Like, over the shoulder kind of view, kind of get you into the action. This is kind of putting you in the action, rather than you controlling a character. It looks like it's you.
Which I think playing it in VR is going to be really scary.
It's going to be pretty intense.
Very immersive, to be honest with you. I'm really looking forward to that one. That was probably one of the biggest surprises this year. Pleasant surprises, because God of War was rumored already. People were, rumors were going around that it was going to be based on Norse mythology and this and that, and they finally revealed it, and it was great, and I loved it. I'm a God of War fanboy. But this I had no clue about. I had no idea they were working on a new Resident Evil game.
Yeah, me either.
Which the style of it was probably the biggest surprise, because it was going to come sooner or later. And so that impressed me big time. Maybe we could go back. I don't know if we could go back a little bit and just see some of the stuff without the audio. But what else surprised you about this conference, Rick?
let's see. A lot of these titles are releasing pretty soon. Doesn't look like they're that far away. Some of the big ones are coming at the end of the year, I believe, and then a couple at the beginning of next year.
Right.
So they're right around the corner. Not like we have to wait a very long time for some of this stuff to come. So that's pretty nice. That's cool. I wasn't overly excited about a lot of these games.
Yeah.
This was kind of funny. Bam.
Yeah, so
sorry, Dad.
Here we got it. Our audience at home is not getting any of the audio right now. They're just having us right now.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, look at this. This is probably for me as a fanboy one of the most important announcements that they made. God of War, because I'm such a fanboy. I had been waiting for it for a long time. Here's Horizon. It looks beautiful. Just look at everything. The gameplay looks really fun. It looks like something I could totally get into.
It's an interesting concept because it sounds like tech has taken over the world, AI and whatnot. So it's kind of a different story, not the typical zombie apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic kind of. So looks interesting. It looks like it'll be a fun game to play.
And moving on here, this next game was probably the biggest moment for me. The Detroit, it was just kind of like I don't really get it. It's interesting. All the different branches it has that it could go with, the way the story branches out or the scenarios branch out. I thought that part was interesting, but as a game and it being fun, I still don't see it yet.
It depends on your taste, cause
yeah,
I'm the same. I'm not into the detective. Right in the forehead. I'm not into the I love RPG type games, but I'm not too much into the. You have to find out all the clues, be a detective mode, and investigate this and investigate that. Which it sounds like it's going to be heavily based on this, because everything that you do is going to affect the outcome of your the decisions you make. So for those that like that, which there's fans out there,
this reminds me a little bit of like the Quantic Dream games, where you have quick time events, you have the storylines that go, but they went the further mile where, as you can see here, if you make certain decisions, it affects certain outcomes. So I don't know, kind of interesting, I guess.
It's an interesting concept, but to me, it just doesn't feel like.
Yeah, then you have this right here.
Excuse me.
You have PlayStation VR, October 13 this year. It's actually coming out a little bit sooner than what I expected. I thought it was probably going to come out in November, but it's a good time, in time for the holidays. Yep. The holidays always gives it that extra little boost when it comes to sales, so it's pretty smart on Sony's behalf to be releasing it then. My one gripe about it is the price tag. I think it's a little bit steep.
It's basically you're paying for a whole nother console. Is it as powerful as a console? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, plus
50 games. So
I mean, but they did show a lot of cool VR games.
They looked interesting, but see, me personally, the whole VR thing. At least for me, it hasn't we gotta try everything in VR.
Right.
Like when TVs went 3D and all that. It's like you don't. At least for me, I don't need that. I'd rather just play it on a regular television with the controller in my hand. There are some games, though, kind of like this, when you're in the cockpit of an airplane, what I bet will maximize the effectiveness of being in a VR. That would be cool. Mm-hmm. But a full-on game, this was Infinite Warfare, I believe it was. So you do part of it in the airplane, the other part you're in first person.
Right.
Like this part of it right here would be awesome in VR. But that's it. And I think that's what you were saying, that you want to see a lot of this.
Yeah, totally.
So that would be cool. But everything else, just the first-person shooter portion of it, I think would be just best left on a console. So if they did like a separate mission mode of nothing but this, I think that would be cool. Other than that, like I don't know, I'm not into the hype of VR yet. It's like it's not needed. It's kind of almost pointless for me.
Right. Plus, it's for me in my case. I think even if I was 100% on board with the whole VR stuff, or the whole VR movement, I should say, I still think I would have difficulties really getting into it as much as I would want to, just because I'm a family man, father of 3 children, and sometimes if you're completely have a headset on and your eyes are 100% blocked from everything else that's going on around you, it's a recipe for disaster. I think if you're supposed to be watching the kids, paying attention to your wife.
Imagine, hopefully this never happens to anybody, but imagine someone's like way into VR headsets and the visor and everything. Their house is like on fire, but they're like they're in a level where they think they're like, oh man, this is intense, but they just can't like click like I'm literally burning, and they're just like, whoa. That would suck, but
yeah, that would be bad. And sooner or later, if VR does take off as big as we kind of all hope it does, at some point, it's gonna happen, and it's gonna look bad. But
see, I think I'm more into the idea, not so much having the visor and just your view being in VR, but actually being in a room where everything is VR, whether it be holographic projection. Or a screen where you
like in that movie Her. Have you seen that movie Her?
Her. No, I don't think so.
Where he has some sort of like a projector where it projects like a holographic image right in front of the guy, like right on his coffee table, and he's just playing, interacting with the little characters that are being projected right in front of him.
Something like that, I think, would be pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. Or even if you were kind of like in a like I said, like in a room. I don't know. I mean, obviously. The mechanics of it would be kind of difficult, but when you walk, your character literally walks on screen. Mm-hmm. Like something like that, I would say would be pretty awesome, because not only is that testing your gameplay ability, that's also your physical ability. If you want to sprint, you're gonna sprint, but you're only gonna last as long as you physically can maintain that sprint.
Okay, so here we're looking at Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I think it's exciting where they're taking it. But what I think is kind of meh is the fact that they're going back to the first-person typical shooting mechanics of it. I want to see more of the airship space fights and flights. I think that stuff is cool, but
I'm
this
pretty sure they have a couple of levels.
I could do without. I've been there, done that. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh man, excuse me. It's the same thing with pretty much any other game.
Call of Duty.
I mean, it's the same thing with any other genre: racing games, sports games, first-person shooters. You've played one, you've pretty much played them all. The only difference is, appearance-wise, appeal, what it looks like, what it sounds like, where they're at, as opposed to in space or on the planet, underwater. I mean, all it really is just imaginative play now.
Right.
Everything else is going to be the exact same thing. You run, you shoot, you jump, you shoot a goal, you shoot a basket, you press on the gas pedal. Everything's the same. So once you played one, you played them all. It's just now appealing to your interests of, like how you said, if they put more of those dogfight kind of levels where you're in your hovercraft, spaceship, whatever, and you're shooting down people, you're going to like this version better because it has a lot more of that as opposed to just the standard first-person shooter.
Yeah.
But,
so, we also had like the Star Wars block, I guess you could say.
The Star Wars block?
Yeah, where they talk about Star Wars for a little while with the Lego Star Wars. To be honest with you, I think they gave it too much time on the conference. Yeah? What do you think? Because Lego games are Lego games. There's nothing new.
They showed cinematics. I didn't see any actual gameplay of
the gameplay is the same. That's what I mean.
But, I mean, that's going to be like any other Lego game. They're all the same thing. You build pieces, you get weapons or rides or whatever. Yeah. You unlock doors. You build contraptions, so everything remains the exact same thing.
Well, yeah, now that I think about it more, it's like you have to diversify. You have to have somebody for everybody, and this is like the kids' game that Sony's bringing, and they are very successful games. So we have the chosen one show up. We had Hideo Kojima here. He came out. He released his trailer for his new game, and it was quite.
It was weird.
Weird.
It made me tingle, and they're all the wrong spaces.
Somewhat disturbing, I would say. With naked Norman Reedus grabbing a newborn baby. Grabbing a newborn baby, and the newborn baby disappearing, I guess. I don't know what happened to it.
Yeah, but see, they don't show anything about what it's about, how the gameplay is going to be.
Yeah.
You just see some dude crying.
Look at that acting, though. Look at that acting.
But it's not him. It's all computers.
I'm sure he did the motion capture, facial capture.
Yeah, but I mean, they can't capture wrinkles. They can't capture.
Dude, they can now.
Really?
They can now, dude.
That detailed.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah, they have the skills now to do everything. We're living in the future, Rick. 2016. And this one's way more in the future. It's probably going to release in 2017 or 2018.
Yeah, I could imagine this one taking some time to get out there.
Yeah. So yeah, look, he has like a bunch of USB drives. I have one of those at my house, exactly like the one he has around his chest. And and then you have a bunch of dead fish and whales and porpoises and
narwhals.
You have these 5 figures in the sky, and you have no idea what they're there for, and it was just really weird. That was it. So when we come back, and we go into this demo, which is probably, in my opinion, the most impressive game of the bunch.
I think so.
This was a big surprise to me. The more I think about it, I did geek out a lot and was excited with the God of War demo they showed, which is fantastic. The Horizon Zero Dawn stuff I saw was fantastic. Nuts. But I think as far as the gameplay demos that they've shown, this was the one game I would love to play more than any other one.
Yep.
Because it gets so crazy with all the zombies coming after this dude. I mean, look at that. It looks. I mean, what do you have to say about this game?
It's like what you imagine a zombie horror movie. You don't just see 1 or 2 zombies. You see a mob of zombies. Right. And I think this game shows that. You see these huge masses of zombies coming after you. Yeah. And it's not just, you run around the corner and done. No, they're going to keep chasing you until they get you. So they're just going to tear through walls. They're going to figure a way to get through obstacles to get to you, what they want. And I think this really shows what I would imagine. Obviously, zombies aren't real, but I would imagine this is what it would really be like, being chased by zombies.
Yeah, and like you said before, it's kind of like the World War Z zombies, where they're not just slow and kind of clumsy. These guys are really out to get you, and they really seem like they really pose a danger, like a real danger, not just a mediocre whatever.
Look at that.
Look at just that mechanic right there. Seeing all those zombies and doing all the climbing and stuff. It's nuts. The gameplay looks to be on point here.
See, so imagine a game like this, though, but every time you play, it randomly generates a whole different landscape.
Right.
A whole different scenario. This barn is no longer there. Now it's, I don't know, a grocery store. Just some random,
Yeah.
That, I think, would be freaking nuts. It's basically just like a what do you call it? A trial. You do it, and then you try to kind of compete against yourself to see if you can do it better or show off to your friends. It would be maybe a mini game of this or something. But yeah, this just looks intense.
Yeah. One thing I just noticed right now, this game could really use like a quick turn, like mechanic, you know?
There might be one.
Like the 180 degree, because I see this guy like slowly turn back, and it would be nice to kind of see a quick turn mechanic on there.
There might be one. Who knows? Either that, or they're still working on it.
You think this game tester just doesn't know how to use it?
That's true.
No, but
they just pulled a random audience member.
This was probably the most impressive looking game in the whole conference. I'm really looking forward to it.
It looks like it's gonna be a fun game.
It's called Days Gone. Days Gone. You're gonna be hearing a lot more from it. I had heard nothing about this game.
I know, me either.
Before.
The other one that I think is gonna be pretty cool. I don't think you probably skipped through it. The Spider-Man game.
Oh yeah, I did skip through it. Where is it?
I don't know. I think it was further back, but.
Okay, I'll try to look for it. But tell us about the Spider-Man game.
They didn't show same thing. Much of the gameplay. It was more of a cinematics. I think it was just right there. I just saw like a. Yeah, there you go. So this is the Sony version of Spider-Man, is what it seems like. That's the end of it.
Let me rewind it a little bit more. But
so
yeah, keep talking.
It just shows action scenes. It doesn't really show much of the gameplay. I mean, it doesn't show any gameplay, actually. I don't think. But just, at least the way that I see it, the possibility that they now have for Spider-Man on this level of platform, of these consoles, the engines, the mechanics, everything that they can put into it. Whereas before, the previous games, they were pretty fun, but they were limited to hardware, and they still look blocky and edgy and whatnot. This looks smooth. This looks almost realistic. And it just
I like what they did with their eyes there. They kind of went again with the whole Deadpool thing.
It's the comic book style.
Yeah.
And what looks like it's going to be pretty amazing is if they really involve the ragtime physics to where, body movement, the way he swings.
Look at that, man. Look at the car physics. I mean, this is part of like a cinematic here, but
hopefully
if they keep that in the game, dude, it's going to be awesome.
Hopefully it's not going to be just a standard, the way he swings, the way he jumps. Hopefully he's going to be affected by the wind, by obstacles, the way that he has to move to swing, to make it look that much more realistic. So that's the only thing I'm hoping for. I don't know if it's possible or not, but we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like I'm missing a game here or there. What else did we see? We heard about the Crash Bandicoot remastered edition coming out. So and a lot of VR. Okay, let's go back. Resident Evil. Let's go back to this. This was probably the most, like, I don't know, just.
It's pretty creepy.
In my opinion, probably the biggest surprise.
Yeah.
God of War was a big surprise, but we kind of already heard the rumors beforehand.
Yeah, I was not expecting any Resident Evil game.
Yeah, this was just off the charts. It's like I told you before, it's totally like the PT demo that came out not too long ago. Or last year, I think it was, or 2 years ago. I forget. But
you know what I'm digging about this?
What is it?
The sound. It's all natural. It
okay,
sounds like
since you're mentioning the sound, I'm going to put the sound up here.
Oh, there we go.
We're going to be talking while the sound's going on. It might get a little loud, but please bear with us. I'll try to keep the sound in check.
Previous Resident Evil games focused on, the ambience, but it had background music playing. Not the full time that you were playing, but like at key moments, kind of indicating something was going to happen, something was about to go down, Hold on, I like this little part right here. that crowd reaction.
Oh my god.
See, like right here, see how that sound picked up?
Yeah, because there was no sound at all.
Right, I like that. Most of the time,
sound effects.
If I remember correctly, on most of the Resident Evil games, the music was already playing.
Yeah.
and then that would happen. Right here, it's like it waited till that scene or that movement, and then the sound came on, or the song. So it makes it feel that much more real, because if you're ever in a situation like this, you're not going to hear music, obviously. You're just going to hear your breathing, your footsteps, animal noises, bugs, whatever, stuff like that. Kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah, this was probably the biggest surprise in the whole thing here that we saw. The whole.
See, but
I mean,
what I'm not getting. It just shut me up.
So yeah, it's like I said, it's really surprising. It was in my opinion, the biggest surprise of the show, in terms of just announcements.
See, what I'm not getting though is
okay.
The silhouette, that was pretty cool. What I'm not getting is the connection with this to all the other Resident Evil, because there's no Jill, there's no Chris, there's no Leon, there's no Claire.
This is the one that's out tonight, the demo.
The demo, okay, sweet.
Okay, I'm gonna go on my PlayStation app and I'm gonna start downloading it right now.
And the thing is, like, all the Resident Evil games revolve around the idea of a virus that was created and used for military or whatnot purpose, a bioweapon, biohazard. This looks nothing to do with viruses or chemicals. This looks like almost demonic.
Right,
like if it was ghosts, zombies, demons, whatever is involved. So this looks like it's... I don't know if they're going to go a separate route with this.
You think it might be just a complete reimagining?
I think it's probably going to be like a whole separate, like a multi-universe deal where this is Resident Evil over here and everything else is over there. So I'm thinking that's what it's going to kind of be, because it definitely doesn't sound like it's going to connect with all the other Resident Evil titles. But but it did look interesting. It did look awesome, and I did look the way that it was looking like. You got it? You finding it, or?
No, I haven't found it here on my app yet. Maybe it's under Resident Evil.
Just type in Resident Evil.
Well, anyway, the other thing that I think was kind of surprisingly missing was the whole thing about Farpoint. We hardly talked about this game, but it's one of the VR games that was announced.
It didn't seem too impressive, though.
It doesn't seem impressive, but if you think about it, it's one of the first, like, quote-unquote real games for virtual reality. Because there's no real games for virtual reality right now. There's just a bunch of cool tech demos, you know? So this seems like it's a game, like a full game. And even though it looks like more of the same, but it's probably going to be just the first real game.
It looks like it's exactly that, a launch title for VR.
Right.
To kind of test its limits, show kind of its boundaries, kind of get you into it. Do you like it or not? Doesn't seem something like, oh man, I got to get this game.
Yeah.
I'm far from it. Like nah, I can.
Yeah, so as of right now, I'm not finding Resident Evil 7 demo on my app here, PlayStation Store. But it'll be up soon. I believe those guys. A few things missing from the
Is
the
this
event.
The VR? This is the VR version. There we go.
Okay. The VR version of it.
So this one also...
This is Star Wars we're looking at.
I don't think they showed much of any gameplay at all. They just showed the hype. Star Wars, VR.
Yeah, it's probably going to be like a real simple type of game. I don't think it's going to be like a full-on...
I hope it's what you were talking about for the Infinite Warfare version, where it's just that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's titled X-Wing VR. So, I don't know how...
What I mean is, like, you know, by full game, I mean, like, with the whole slew of options.
Right.
And play modes. a storyline, like a campaign mode to it. That I don't think it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be just something simple.
That's
Coming
true.
out with a Batman VR game as well.
This too, I don't know because it didn't show anything.
Right.
All you're hearing, well, you can't hear it because we turned on the audio, but it's just Jack Hamill as
Yeah, let me turn it up a
Jack
little
Hamill, Mark Hamill
Jack
as Joker.
bit. Brings up the animals.
You see that life is nothing but a
Yeah,
You
so-
can't really tell what this game is about. At the end, it just says something about become the cowl, I believe.
Yeah,
So I don't know, maybe a first-person Batman type of game.
possibly.
You know how Nintendo came out with like for the Wii, like all these controllers, like the wheel to put your game controller into it to use it as a steering
Oh
wheel.
yeah.
The tennis, the golf court, the golf club. I mean, imagine if they come up with a cowl or a Batman mask that you clip onto your VR, so it looks like you got the Batman.
That would be kind of cool, for the kids.
It's just a gimmick. There would be really no point to it, but it would be kind of funny. Wear the hashtag wear the cowl. Brooding.
Yeah.
Brood.
What was missing from E3 this year? Anything that you wish you could have seen but wasn't there?
Anything that was missing? Well, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I've only seen Sony. I haven't had a chance to watch any of the other guys. So I don't know if you mean in general or just from Sony.
Well, let me answer the question so you know more or less what I mean. One thing that was missing, we did see earlier in the show we saw we're looking at Final Fantasy 15 right now. Really cool looking game. We also got to see a little bit of the boy and his dog. What's his name?
The boy and his dog.
Yeah, the giant dog.
Oh,
Falcor.
that was
No,
more,
not Falcor.
That was more towards the beginning.
Towards the
I think.
beginning.
I think it was right after God of War.
Okay. But we got to see that game. We got to see oh jeez, I can't believe I can't think of the name right now.
It's after God of War, I believe.
But
Keep going.
we
No, that's Days
Okay.
Gone.
Days Gone, our
That's
new favorite game.
Horizon. Yeah, Days Gone looks like it's gonna be pretty cool. No, that's
What
the
other game?
Oh, where is it?
Well, anyway, we got to see that game. That's been in development for like 10 years or so. I don't know, really. It's been close to 10 years. And
It was before all the
the
VR
Last
games. I mean,
Guardian.
that's
It's called The Last Guardian.
Last Guardian.
So we got to see The Last Guardian. However, last year they
Asgardian. Oh, was that it right there? Right there.
there. Last year we got to see Shenmue announced at the E3 press conferences for Sony or conference for Sony. I was hoping we would get to
More
see a
info
little
on
bit
it.
more. I mean, I understand why not, because it's really not a Sony game per se. But if they showed it last year, I was kind of hoping that they would have a little something to say about it this year. But obviously, that was a no-show. The other thing that
No show.
yeah. The other one that was missing, Final Fantasy VII. They announced
The
it
remake?
at last year's show. And this year, again, no show, no mention of Final Fantasy VII, which is a little disappointing. I kind of wanted to see how far along they are on that. I know we've been complaining about remakes and HD remasters, but that's actually one that I wanted
But
to
that's
see.
yeah, but that's not. Excuse me. That's not a remaster. That's an actual remake. It's a whole new game in its sense.
Yeah.
Same story, I would imagine. Same characters, but a whole brand new game.
Right. So we had that. The other thing that was missing was, we all know about the PlayStation Neo.
4.5.
Yeah,
Five.
the 4.5, the 4K. We all know about it,
Mm-hmm.
but and I think Sony confirmed it earlier today, if I'm not mistaken. but it was a no-show on their press conference as well, which was quite a surprise. I was thinking that it was going to release later this year, and this would have been a good moment to kind of announce that, but
right.
It was...
well, you would imagine Sony would unveil something about it, but would you think that within these days to come that they might still have some more information about it? Or is that's it, they're done?
I think they're just kind of keeping a low profile on it, to be honest with you. I think they're trying to just keep a low profile on it so that... because initially when the rumor started to circle around, people were not happy that Sony was giving us a PlayStation 4.5. What they want is Sony to just focus on what's out right now and eventually focus on the PlayStation 5 and not just give us like an interim console, you know, to like a bridge.
Well, I mean, they kind of always do that automatically. PS3 and then PS3 Slim.
No, but the Slim I get because it's the same console, just slimmer and smaller components.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So,
but the PlayStation 4.5, it's gonna be a stronger console. It's gonna be able to output images at higher resolution.
Isn't it not gonna have the same processor though?
No, it's gonna have a more advanced processor. It has more computing power and all that.
Okay.
Where allegedly it's gonna play the same games, it's just gonna make them look better, and so that's something that a lot of people really don't want because it kind of goes in against what consoles are.
Essentially, that is the PlayStation 5 if that's the case, if it's going to be
exactly,
better.
But it's almost like a half-hearted attempt at a PlayStation 5, which is part of what people are complaining about. It's like, no, don't give us this. Just work on it, make it great, and then release it. Microsoft announced theirs, and they say that they're expecting to release it next year, and theirs is also like like an Xbox 1.5 in a way. They're calling it Project Scorpio, and this is kind of like that was their answer to the PlayStation 4 Neo, and I think they have to compete with each other, but I think they should just kind of focus on what's out right now, and eventually just move on to PlayStation 5, Otherwise, just give us a PC, a Sony PC. Give us a Microsoft-made PC, Because if they're just going to give us these little incremental updates, I don't know about consoles,
Download
they're probably going to die out faster.
It's download content for the console.
Exactly. So, is there anything else you want to talk about the show? Anything that maybe you hope would be there but wasn't?
No, I mean, to be quite honest, I've been so out of the loop as far as what's in the works, what's being worked on, what's not, what company is thinking or which direction of going. I just right now as it is from what I saw, I'm happy with those games.
Right.
It looks like it's gonna give us a lot of hours of awesome content to play. I'm sure they're going to also involve download content eventually, so you're going to be able to expand it even further.
Yeah.
And as time goes on, like you said, whether they do the Neo or just focus on 5, then there you go. You're going to have even more better looking games.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. It's always the same thing. I mean, it's nice that we're getting all this stuff, but everyone's always trying to one-up each other. So who knows what's really working on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
If this was just kind of like get some stuff out there to keep them occupied and we'll focus on this stuff. So hopefully that's what's the case is, and we'll get some really awesome stuff coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully this is a sign of good things to come. If I had to grade Sony's conference, I would give it an A-. It had a lot of surprises. It had a lot of stuff that I was hoping would be there but wasn't. But overall, it made up for it by giving us some really cool stuff like God of War, more gameplay from Horizon Zero Dawn. I was pleasantly surprised by the Resident Evil 7 announcement. I love the direction that they're going with it. It's really dark and going back to in a way to like horror roots with it. I like the Days Gone demo that they showed. Oh my gosh!
I think that's
that
the one that
so
wins
fun.
for me.
Yeah, that's the big winner in my opinion.
I think this would be number 2 for me.
Yeah, for sure. As far as like the stuff they showed with actual gameplay, with God of War 3 coming in at number 3, but then again, that one they couldn't show much because they probably don't have much finished on it yet. So that one's probably still a ways away. But yeah, really good, exciting stuff. I'm really looking forward to everything that's gonna be coming from Sony in the next few years. And it you know what? It just made me think like I was kind of hoping to kind of just go get a $2,000 or $3,000 PC and just forget about consoles. But when Sony's giving us exclusives like this, there's no way I could just stay away from the consoles, because games like this will not be on any PC system. They're not going to be on Xbox. They're just going to be on Sony consoles only.
I'm going to have to bite the bullet at some point and get a PS4, Leo.
Well, you know what? I think that once the PS4 Neo is a reality, the PS4, the regular PS4, is probably going to come out to be really, really cheap. And that's probably going to be a good opportunity for you to, like you said, bite the bullet and grab a console at a good price. But yeah, I'm really excited. Sony, you're doing things right. So far, it's been the best conference I've seen. I'm still very excited from the other stuff that was shown earlier today by the on the other conferences from Ubisoft, from Microsoft, from EA, and Bethesda. However, I think Sony takes it as far as the games they've shown. It was like game after game after game, which is what gamers want. Gamers want games. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today for this special E3 edition of Daddy's Game Time, where we saw the Sony E3 press conference live, and we also gave you the post E3 conference reactions and analysis of each game that we saw and what we're excited about. We graded the conference as a whole and kind of talked about what was missing and what was surprising to us. And I'm excited. This next couple of years in gaming are going to be magnificent.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us. Remember, you can subscribe to our channel. We're on Twitch. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. Instagram. All keyword Daddy's Game Time. You can also check out our cool shirts that we have for Daddy's Game Time. Boom. Daddy'sGameTime.com/merchandise if you want your official Daddy's Game Time shirt. And remember, enjoy your games and love your families. Until next time, I'm Leo signing off along with
Rick.
All right. And keep on checking out some more E3 coverage as the week goes on.